Probably those two groups had more reason to hate each other than any of us do today. One of the countries that I had the opportunity to visit several times was El Salvador in Central America. And during most of my years in Latin America, El Salvador was going through a major civil war. There were communist guerrillas, rebels, fighting the government, wrestling for control of the country. And this war had been going on for many, many years, I don't know how many years. And there were horrible atrocities by both sides. Now, coming up to that time, during many of those years, the ministry in El Salvador had special teams that would show the Jesus film throughout the country. And they had a slogan that we're going to take the message of God's love through the Jesus film to every square centimeter of Salvadorian territory. But they had never gone to the guerrillas' headquarters, which is high up in the mountains in a town called Peking. And they had never been there. That was where the guerrillas had their underground radio station, Radio Vencedora, just the heart of the rebel territory. And they tried to go up there a couple times. They had film team leaders killed trying to go up to the rebel territory to show the Jesus film. And they had never been able to get there. So as soon as the peace treaty is signed, it said any person can go anywhere in the country. So they say, okay, so we're going to send the Jesus film team to Peking and share the gospel and tell communist guerrilla armies how much God loves them. And so they sent a team up there. And I had the privilege of joining that team, working as a correspondent for Worldwide Challenge magazine. And so we drove up there in the mountains. As you drive up, you can see the telephone wires were dangling from the poles. We slept in a church that had been bombed out church, no roof on it. You could see where they had firing squads. When the communists came in, they had lined people up, and you could see because there's lined bullet holes at head height all across the wall with all the blood spatters in the wall. And so we showed the film that night. We showed the Jesus film on the wall, outside wall of a schoolhouse. And there was probably 1,000 men and women there, communist guerrilla rebel soldiers and their women, because that's the only people that were up there. And quite a number of people said they wanted to follow Jesus that night. And the next day, I was interviewing a school teacher by day and probably a guerrilla soldier by night. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been up there. And he said he realized that that is the only message that can heal his country. This message of God's love shown through Jesus, as he saw in the film. He said the reason is because all of us on both sides have had friends and relatives and loved ones tortured and killed by the other side. And we can never forgive. How can we forgive when my brother's been tortured by the army and killed? I can't forgive. They can't forgive me because we've done the same. This is the only message. This is the only way we can forgive is because of God's love. And he actually shared the message of God's love to Joaquin Villalobos, the leader. And Villalobos said just what the school teacher had said. He said, I can see that this is a message that we need in this country. This is the only thing that's going to heal our country. And he says, I'm not going to become a Christian myself because I've killed too many people, which isn't a qualification, but that's what he said. And he said, however, I'm going to give you permission to show this film everywhere in the territory we control. So Villalobos gave a signed paper to the Jesus film team, and they continued on deeper into the mountains, going to every village up in the mountains, showing the film, and basically starting little groups of Christians all throughout the mountains up there. And later, I even found out that the Christians in El Salvador in fact, the government had concluded that the reason there'd been the peace treaty at all was because so many people becoming Christians that there was a critical mass of people who were willing to forgive and who believed that torture was wrong. And it wasn't until 25% of the people turned to God that the conditions were such that the country as a whole could move forward in forgiveness. It was a powerful lesson to me to see how God's love enables us to forgive people who are the people that we hate, people who have hurt us. And if God's love can come in and transform El Salvador after 30 years of violent, bloody war, it can transform our country too. And I think that that's the only thing that's going to really heal the divisions in our country, whether they're political, whether they're racial, whether they're ethnic, whatever they might be. It's only God's love that can bring us together, because before God, we're all the same, regardless of our political beliefs or our ethnic background or our ideological convictions. So I feel there is hope, the same hope El Salvador had, if we come together through the power of God, loving each other through Jesus Christ.